Chapter 52. I acted on a whim 7 years ago. There was some stiffness in the space. Edward sighed seriously. What can I do to shorten the gap between us so that you feel that I'm worthy of you, Ms. Lawrence? Was there a problem with what I expressed? Jean thought. Tell me, and I'll change. Edward had a sincere look on his face. I'm saying that I'm not worthy of you. Ms. Lawrence, you're impeccable to me. Fourth Master Swan, let's not beat around the bush. Jean could not outlast this master, so she said, 7 years ago, I admitted that I slept with you on a whim. 7 years later, I hope that you won't hold a grudge against me. Let's forget each other. Edward did not reply. At that moment, he just looked at Jean. He looked straight at her. It made her whole body go numb. After a long time, he asked, on a whim. Yes, Jean responded, Fourth Master, you clearly know why I looked for you back then. Now that I think about it, I do think it was absurd. Since it was absurd, we should let it drift away with the wind. Absurd. Now, I've gotten over Eden. Regardless of whether it's you or Eden, I treat you normally. Fourth Master, please let it go. To you, I'm the same as Eden. To me, both of you are unimportant people. Jean was straightforward. The man in front of her raised the corner of his mouth. He was definitely not smiling. Jean pursed her lips. At this moment, she was worried that she would be strangled to death by the man in front of her. After all men had bad natures. Whether they liked or loved someone or not, they had to subdue that person. The room was extremely quiet. George sat at the side and did not say a word. Jean lifted the blanket and got up. The moment the blanket was lifted, she did not notice that the hem of her dress had reached below her thighs. Fierce scratches could be clearly seen on her fair thighs. They were all left behind by Jean in order to restrain herself last night. Jean pulled down the hem of her dress calmly. Edward saw everything. Jean got up from the bed. Fourth Master, thank you for lunch. Goodbye. As she said that, she held George's hand and walked out. Just as they reached the door, Edward's voice came from behind. Is this the reason you left so freely back then? Jean halted. George raised his head and looked at Jean. It was as if this was the first time he had seen many emotions on Jean's face. Jean said faintly, yes. She clarified her relationship with Edward in one word. After she finished, she did not expect to receive any reply and left with George. Outside the door, she bumped into Knox. Knox had a carefree smile on his face. You're leaving already? Aren't you going to spend the night here or something? Jean ignored Knox. Knox rubbed his nose. He turned his head to look in the direction of the guest room. Fourth Master Swan finally faces rejection. This is truly worth celebrating. Ellipsis. The Swans' grand wedding came to an end. Late at night, Alexander had just returned from the wedding banquet with his family. When he returned to the Lawrence family's manor, he coincidentally bumped into Jean, who was downstairs drinking water. At that moment, Alexander let out a fierce roar. Jean looked at him. Where have you been all day? Alexander's expression was ugly. His fatigue seemed to have vanished into thin air. At this moment, he was only filled with anger toward her. Dad, did you just think of me now? Your sister got married today. Not only did you not properly greet the guests, but you even went missing. Can you behave like the eldest young lady? Dad, just say what you want to say. Why do you have to beat around the bush and say things that no one wants to hear? Jean said coldly. Alexander did not beat around the bush. Today, he did not rage due to Jasmine's wedding. Nonetheless, at the wedding venue, countless people were asking him about Jean and Fourth Master Swan. How would he know what was going on between them? He could only play dumb and say that he did not see anything. In fact, he was sitting not far from the side and saw everything clearly. Alexander asked coldly, what's going on between you and Fourth Master Swan? Did you seduce him? Shouldn't you be happy that I seduced Fourth Master Swan? Why don't you look at your current status? Not to mention the jokes you made in the past, now that you have a child with you, do you think Fourth Master Swan is crazy? Do you think he'll leave the Sanderses' third princess to be with you? Jean felt that it was true when others said that she was not worthy of Fourth Master Swan. Despite that, when her biological father said that, she felt that it was very ironic. Fortunately, she had given up on her dad and would not have any emotions anymore. Therefore, she said very calmly, it was a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? A misunderstanding that you two kissed at Jasmine's wedding and that you deliberately embarrassed Jasmine. Was it you who took the initiative? Alexander asked fiercely. No. Fourth Master Swan used me as a shield to make third Princess Sanders misunderstand. I came back early so as to not disrupt Jasmine's wedding. Alexander looked at Jean coldly. It's up to you whether you believe it or not. Jean did not say much. It would be useless to say too much. She turned around and went upstairs. Jean, Alexander's expression was ugly, you better behave yourself. You won't have a good life now. Don't try to climb to a high status. I'll give you another piece of advice. Now that the Sanders' third princess has taken a liking to fourth Master Swan, from the Swan's standpoint, she'd definitely be eager to have a marriage agreement with the Sanders. The Swans will become relatives of the imperial family and will have an even more prominent status. Don't bring shame upon yourself, and don't bring me trouble. Whether it's the Swans or the Sanders, I can't afford to offend them. Don't let your sister lose all her face right after she's married to Eden. Jean sneered. Alexander probably did not understand the situation. If the Swans wanted fourth Master Swan to marry the third princess of the Sanders, fourth Master Swan would not have kissed Jean on the spot. Therefore, it was very obvious that the Swans rejected the marriage. As for why they rejected it, back then, the Swans abandoned politics and entered the business world to stay away from political disputes. After so many years, the Swans had always maintained a distance from the government. They would not get involved in politics again now that old Master Swan had aged. Naturally, the Swans would think of all kinds of reasonable reasons to reject the marriage. As for why the government had suddenly taken the initiative to have a marriage agreement with the Swans, no one knew the reason behind it. Jean replied, all right. She did not say anything else. Alexander could not even understand the most basic of things. Jean was not so kind as to explain it to him. She now understood why the Lawrences' business had been in such a slump all these years. The root cause was that Alexander was incompetent. Jean guessed that if it was not for Jonathan barely holding on, the Lawrences would have been wiped out long ago.